Okay, I was not sure if I want to do something like that. Let's see how this goes. And honestly, it was a spontaneous idea while struggling with a new topic.
Just beat the devil out of it.
I'm at the beginning of creating my portfolio as a junior concept designer. And after thinking what my next video could be about, I thought, why not show some of my process? I follow some of the advice Fengh Zhu is giving in one of his last videos. It's just perfect how helpful it is to structure your own portfolio, the creating process, time management, and what to put in there. There's no one way how a portfolio should be. There are a lot of factors you have to consider. What you want to do, where you want to work, which tool you wish to use, and do you want to be more a designer and generating a lot of ideas, or making sick illustrations. It's not that you can't do both. But I think if you want to fit in a production pipeline, it's helpful to communicate at the beginning what you can do and where your strengths are. So my first project is grounded on history and the real world. I was always fascinated by all the great civilizations that exists over the past centuries.
2 hours later.
I'm half German and half Italian, so Roman and barbarian battles were always something where I had a natural interest in. To get you on board, I started with some research on the Roman Empire and their culture. I think it's essential to feel into the world of the people who live in that time and understand their perspectives and behaviors, so you can create more authentic and lively characters for your project. After creating a little brief for myself, which type of character and narrative I want to tell in my character design, I'm in the middle of the exploration phase. I just love to do loose sketches and just having fun exploring the ancient world. No matter if you want to do character design or environments. There are so many different ways of design thinking and shape exploration. Do you want to explore the overall feel of your character? Get a better understanding of the equipment he's wearing? Exploring your character with the design rules in mind? Like big, medium, small, or if you want to use more rectangle or round shapes? I think it's essential to make a list for yourself and tackle one subject after the other. A couple days ago, I started with my character design. I started with a character design lecture on the Foundation Patreon. I put the link in the description. It's great how in depth Charles Lin goes into the essentials of character design and which important steps you have to take. Now I'm revisiting my anatomy skills and sketching out different poses from imagination. So I have a little library of characters that feel more lively. And yes, it's always better to work with reference. But sometimes I like to sketch from imagination just to see what I remember and stamp in the knowledge that I already have. I'm in the thumbnail phase right now. So anatomy doesn't have to be 100% right. Getting into advanced stage later, I can always pull out my anatomy books and make changes. So let's get to my little preparation figure drawings. So I'm starting with a simple figure drawing. Right now I am trying to find the right ribcage shape for the proper perspective setup. The little line shows where my horizon is. After that, I'm adding some small landmarks, so I know where to attach the neck, where the head is, and where my arms start. The hip is always a great way to put in a little modified box and stay on track with your perspective setup. Loomis has some great figure mockups, check that out. There are a lot of skeleton features you can add to your figure. You can draw out the knee or elbow joints, or adding the scapula on the back. But right now I want to keep it simple and give me a guideline for my muscles on top. I always love to lay in some perspective guidelines, so you don't lose yourself while drawing. A box where your figure is standing on is a perfect chance to sketch in the needed perspective and a good way to double check your perspective setup. Always ask the question if your lines match up to the horizon you have set up. The second figure follows the same process. I changed the pose to give me some variation for my later iteration in the character design. The good thing about working digital is you can make as many mistakes as you want, but still be confident and try to think before you make a line on paper. These are hundreds of small decisions of where to put the line when you sketch. And the more you practice it and learn from the lines you don't like and make corrections, you get better at it. Sort out the lines you don't like over time and replace them with lines that work. So now I'm adding the muscles on top of my little abstracted figure skeleton. I'm starting with the pectoralis chest muscles. It's hard to remember every little detail from my anatomy studies. And since we are in the thumbnail phase, I try to simplify the muscles to create something that looks fun and will work for my needs. For the shoulders, I find it easier to work with straight lines. For the arm muscles, you can play with the cool contrast of round versus straight shapes. The transition of the upper body to the lower half is something I struggle a little bit. So I am making some notes here to revisit that part and do some additional studies in the future. For the legs, I always try to keep the volume in mind. So in perspective, I hit the right angle and give that big muscles the correct depth and feel. Contour lines help with that. For now, I'm sketching the feet in more quickly. Same thing here. Take that chance and make a note for yourself if you want to do some feet or hand studies. It can't hurt you and make you a better artist. Every little study is a good step to solidify your foundation skill set. It's funny how some simple ellipses or contour lines can increase our perception if something looks more two-dimensional or three-dimensional. So fast forward. Here are the results of my little figure set up in perspective. Ready for design work and character design development. I will show you a little sneak peek what expects you on the next portfolio development video. One thing I want to say, for your creative ideas, you don't always have to sketch over a human figure. Depends how realistic and grounded you want your design to be. With this design, I just started to design focusing on the shapes and some design rules. Sometimes one workflow works better than the other. Just try it out and be open to always learn something new, and there will never be one way that always works. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you take something positive away from this. Let me know what you find helpful and maybe what you adapt to one of your workflows. See you in the next one.